Sherry, I know you outsource policy checking, and post Exdion pod, I'm also aware that you continue to outsource various other activities with great success. My question to you is specifically around the returns on investment, the value that you've been able to realize, and do you feel today that it was a decision that was in the right direction for you as an agency?
Yes, so there's a couple different points of value that I want to highlight today, but yes, we absolutely feel like we made the right decision as an agency. So from the poll, I saw that there were some other agencies in our position as well, where you're coming from an outsourcing, and then others where you're currently doing all of that policy checking tasks manually right now. So I want to talk to both of those scenarios. So bottom line, I'm just going to throw it out there. From the outsourcing perspective, making the move to Exdion, it was easier for us to be able to see apples to apples, what is our bottom line cost savings, making that change. And so for us, we did save 60%, 60% annually by making the change from manual outsourcing to Exdion pod. That being said, we started to realize those benefits pretty much spot on when we flipped the switch to move from outsourcing over to Exdion pod. The cost savings we started to feel right away, and that's going to be 60% every year going forward. Maybe it's even going to be a little bit more considering the rising costs that we may have had on the outsourcing side. And that being said, from the other perspective, if you are currently doing manual policy checking today, we were there too at some point, there is something to consider with the opportunity cost of staying within the status quo. So you're still paying staff members to perform that policy checking, or maybe in some cases you're not getting to it like you would like to, just due to volume and limitations on staff. So when you look at adding on a technology solution like Exdion, yes, it is going to add something to your budget line item as a cost, but when you compare that to the benefits of, the example of that would be taking your talent, your insurance professional talent, and redeploying it to be more accessible for new business growth, to have greater employee engagement touch points, not employee engagement, excuse me, client engagement touch points. So as we're working to retain our clients, and we all know how important it is for retention, right, to keep those clients engaged, when we're spending a lot of time in the back office doing manual work like checking policies, we're losing some opportunities to have that either strategic conversations with our clients or just more frequent touch points that can further and deepen that relationship. So that is something to really look at and consider, and it's certainly something that we considered with making this change. So we wanted to save our people time so that they could redeploy it into more client-facing work and openness for absorbing additional new business. But there is one other benefit, Dan, that I really wanted to highlight, which is not something you traditionally think of. It's a little on the non-traditional side. And I just want to introduce this. Janine Tracy is our Chief People Officer at H&I, and she made a great observation shortly after we adopted Exdion pod. And I want to share and quote her exact words to you of what she said. She said, "Don't underestimate the people side of making changes that tend to only be looked at operationally. You might be missing out on an employee engagement opportunity." And what she meant by that, and what she was referring to, was the level of excitement and engagement we saw of our team members around the idea of adopting artificial intelligence into our agency, into our workflows and processes, and joining others that are considered pioneers within our industry and really embracing artificial intelligence and technology, that technology space within our industry. It created a level of excitement that they were sharing with others. And that was something that wasn't a tangible thing at first, but it shouldn't be overlooked.
And I'll add, for us, we sat down and took a hard look at what was this really going to do for us? What was it doing for us over our manual process? And we came up with that this is going to save us about is saving us about a half an hour per policy per CSR for every policy that's checked. And that truly doesn't take into account all the interruptions when someone is checking a policy. the time savings in trying to get back into your train of thought when you're trying to multitask, which I don't think there is actually a true thing as multitasking. Just getting back into that train of thought, what are you missing? You know, taking that out of the equation was huge for us, and that additional time savings given back to our staff. You know, we want our staff to be insurance advisors, not paper pushers. We want to use technology to our advantage to, as Sherry said, create those additional client touches and a better client experience. And the more time we can give back to our staff, the better we're able to do that for account touches, for account rounding, and being a better insurance advisor. And, you know, as far as adoption for us, we saw after, you know, COVID came about, and as Sherry said, people working from home, it becomes harder. Some people don't have dual screens in front of them. It was much easier to get our staff more interested in using this technology to move forward. And we're really seeing those gains.